Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching India Today's coverage of the India Today Access My India exit poll. I want to come now to that one state of Odisha where nobody is willing to buy the numbers. Not those who are winning, they say, oh, maybe it seems a bit much. Those who seem to be losing was definitely not buying the numbers. And there's something very special, Rajdeep, about the state of Odisha, where people just don't want to break each other's heads politically. It's a very gentle, genial state. They like to be civil with each other.
Absolutely. And I think also what makes Odisha fascinating is what you said earlier this evening, which is Naveen Patnaik. I mean, a chief minister who's 78 days away from breaking the record for being the longest serving chief minister. Will he not do it? He himself is the most enigmatic political figure that you can get. He hasn't given a single interview on the campaign, and I'm told prefers watching Netflix late in the evening at times. Is a politician who does his own thing, and he's been remarkably successful doing it, never lost an election. So Preeti Chaudhary has to tell us the difficult task with that lovely Konark temple behind her, whether Naveen Babu is going to win again for a fifth consecutive time or not.
Well, Rajdeep, will he not? Well, standing right in front of this stunning Konark Sun temple in Odisha. Let's get you the vote share first and what it really looks like. Lok Sabha, the BJP swept, where the 147 seats are concerned in the state assembly election. How is the BJD poised vis-a-vis the BJP? The vote share, well, it's even keel, dead heat, 42% for the BJP and 42% for the BJD, with the Congress at 12%, others standing at 4%. From vote share, let's now shift to seat share. Out of 147, where does the BJD stand? Will Naveen Patnaik break that record that Rajdeep was talking about? And it is dead heat right here as well. 62 to 80 for the BJP and 62 to 80 seats for the BJD as well. The Congress at 5 to 8 seats, others at 0. Rajdeep, this is an election on hand.
And the fascinating thing about this election and these numbers that you've just given us, Preeti, is just think about it. Yesterday we went into Lok Sabha, Odisha, and it's a virtual clean sweep for the BJP. We are predicting 17 to 18 seats out of 21 for the Biju Janata Dal in Lok Sabha. Come to the Vidhan Sabha and you've got a dead heat. I mean,
no, but whenever, I want to tell our viewers, whenever a pollster predicts 62 to 80, he's basically hedging.
He's a cop-out.
He has a sense of where it's going, but he's not certain of where it's going, so he gives a range. Gupta ji, which says, यार इधर भी हो सकता है, उधर भी हो सकता है. असली बताओ क्या हो रहा है?
इधर भी, उधर भी और कुछ भी. इसका मतलब भारतीय जनता पार्टी भी जीत सकती है, बीजू जनता दल भी जीत सकता है, और
So let me ask you a more precise question. Somebody has to be ahead. In your best estimate at this moment.
Best estimate is, I think BJP is ahead than Biju Janata Dal.
By how much? By 1%?
How
2%?
much is something that I do not have the answer, and that is the precisely reason why I have given vote share, equal vote share to vote 42%, and seat share is also 62 to 80 seats.
Even in the vote share, are you hedging, or is that actually what the field surveys picked up?
No, I'm not hedging, but that's the reality as far as the seats goes. See, vote share sometime, particularly in a state like Odisha, where Congress also play the part, but in a very limited pocket, in tribal belts, very limited, Koraput and Kalahandi, in those areas. But vote share is not important. Here is the seat share, which is very important in case of Odisha, because there is a practice also. People are voting for Shank for last 25 years, almost 25 years. So,
but also remember, the BJP's vote share in Odisha is concentrated largely in the more landlocked western parts of the state. As you come towards the coast, Rahul Verma, that's where the BJP traditionally had been weak. If Pradeep Gupta's numbers are right, we're seeing the history of Odisha politics being rewritten, and given Naveen Patnaik's frail health and the kind of backlash that this campaign has seen against V.K. Pandian, and Naveen Patnaik's clarification on the last day in an interview that he may not be the successor, it raises serious questions about the BJD's political future.
Sure. I think future of Odisha politics is definitely going to change. What would happen in this election is a little bit complicated. See, compared to Andhra Pradesh, where in State Assembly and Lok Sabha, same party has been doing well. In Odisha, what happened last time also in 2019, that BJP did better in Lok Sabha elections compared to Vidhan Sabha election. So there is a split ticket voting little bit, but also it reflects in outcome much more because of the way Congress vote shares get distributed in Lok Sabha and Assembly election. And second, there is a conspiracy theory, and perhaps you both can clarify more on this, that despite what is happening, there is some sort of understanding between BJD and BJP that BJP will be allowed to win most of the Lok Sabha seats, and BJD will be given a
So but you know, this is where there was a view inside the Bharatiya Janata Party that let there be an alliance, but Amit Shah, the Home Minister, really put his foot down and said, we've worked hard over the last 10 years, we think we can win this on our own, and he pretty much didn't allow for that alliance to go through. Now the question is, you basically need 74. To be able to get to the majority point, you need 74. What Gupta ji is saying is, it could be a very fractured mandate, in which case, to who is it the advantage?
So, I mean, Odisha is one state where you don't put resort politics in picture or Operation Kamal in picture.
It's never happened.
But it has never happened, and there has never been a need.
Well, lots of lovely resorts near Puri now.
I believe that even if there is this small window, BJP would do everything to assert and form its first government in Odisha.
Was that the reason why in the last dying hours of the campaign, the last 2-3 weeks, you saw a total change of how the BJP ran its campaign? You had an Amit Shah, you had a Prime Minister Modi going for the jugular, attacking
Yes,
Naveen
this has never
Patnaik
happened,
himself.
and they
It had
went all
never
out.
happened before.
So they had multiple rounds of surveys. So in the process, they had multiple rounds of surveys, which the BJP's graph kept increasing by the day. They were peaking by the day.
So they knew.
And the reports that are coming, BJP numbers, had the election been delayed by even a day, the numbers would have gone up. So that's the curve that they saw.
There were 2
is what
points.
was giving them more and more confidence.
There were 2 points. Rashid, I'll come to you for a moment. There were 2 points. One, I think, at the start of the election, in a general election, the BJP realized that perhaps you need as many allies as you can get. So even Biju Janata Dal was more than happy to come on board. There were those around Naveen Patnaik who felt, why put him through a hard competitive campaign at a time when his health hasn't been the greatest? He has a good relation with the Prime Minister, let's make him an ally. When the BJP sees that you don't need him as an ally nationally, I'm not going to be in a situation where I need a Naveen Patnaik's 15 seats, you go for the jugular. And then decide,
That's what he did,
let's go for it, let's win this election. But the reason I was look at how Indian politics has changed. Odisha is a good example. 2014 assembly elections in Odisha, Biju Janata Dal wins 117 seats with 43.4% of the vote. Congress wins 16 seats with 25.7% of the vote, and the BJP comes third with 10 seats, winning just 18% of the vote. Look at how it has transformed. In 10 years, the Congress has shrunk.
Yeah.
The BJP has risen. The Biju Janata Dal is still a dominant party. But the decline, Rahul, of the Congress in states where it used to once be, Odisha was classic Congress territory for the longest time, and that's where, Rashid, the Congress has to introspect again. 40 years now, it's 30 years, it's completely off the map.
So, Rajiv, what do you do when party number 1 and party number 2 have a tacit understanding? The talks fell between BJP and BJD precisely for this reason. If they had combined together, then it would have given potentially a chance for Congress to come up and occupy that number 2 space. And therefore,
what is the Congress been doing for 30 years?
Expectation to depend on the alliance between BJD and BJP to recover. What have they done on the ground to recover? How hard have they been working in Odisha?
Congress?
Yes.
So the Congress is really down because there is no space, because the
There
people
is
who
no
are
space,
against...
कुछ काम करने के लिए और space नहीं है. How much effort has the Congress made in Odisha?
That is your editorial judgment. Point I am saying.
No, sir, what effort have they made? No, you tell me your editorial judgment. What effort have they made in Odisha?
So when there is a regional party which is, calling shots and very strong, and so the people have a choice of either voting for a regional party, which being Biju Janata Dal, or party.
Sir, if the BJP looks like this at Tamil Nadu, they did not make any effort because you've got DMK and AIDMK. हमारे लिए जगह नहीं, हम कुछ नहीं करते. Why did they make so much of an effort? What sort of an explanation is this from the
Obviously,
Congress
because how do you explain that a political party is winning or potentially winning, as per Mr. Pradeep Gupta, state assembly polls, but drawing a blank, almost blank in Lok Sabha elections? Whatever.
So, but your effort can't be dependent on whether there is space for you. You go in and create space for yourself.
No, Rahul, you are not seeing a pattern. You look YSR Congress, doing well in assembly, doing badly in Lok Sabha. You have BJD, doing very well in the state assembly.
Where is it doing very well? Which poll are you looking at?
State assembly right now.
He is saying 62 to 8.
60 to 80 is hardly very well.
Keeping in mind.
They're in the race, but can I make the point?
Even Bengal.
No, but Rashid, the point is this. I'm looking at what is the story of the general elections for me that stood out yesterday. Was the rise of the BJP in areas where the BJP was almost inconsequential, literally inconsequential a decade ago. You know, whether it's Bengal, whether it's an Odisha, whether it's even in Assam, whether you can come to Telangana. Who would have thought 10 years ago
they didn't have this approach that there is no space for us.
No, that's the point. So the point is, even think about it. You're making some inroads in Kerala. You're growing in Tamil Nadu.
No,
Politics in the geography of this election is what is fascinating me. If Pradeep's numbers hold, and you know, I continue to hold that caveat, particularly with states like Kerala and Tamil Nadu. I had a long chat with a Kerala journalist who's had a bet with me that BJP cannot win more than one, which is the Thrissur seat. But that's another debate. My limited point is this: the BJP has looked to expand like an Ashwamedh Yagna across the country. I will not just be satisfied with the areas which are my core areas of influence. I need to expand. The Congress has gone the other way. States where the Congress used to be dominant, Odisha was almost a lamppost election at times for the Congress when J.B. Patnaik and others were in power in the 80s. What is the decline? You've lost tribals, you've lost Dalit groups, you've lost the core constituency of the Congress. And what have you done, as you rightly said, to bring that back? You've not done enough.
I woke up this morning to a call from a senior union minister from these parts, and they're counting on the outsider factor, Pradeep Gupta. The fact that Naveen Patnaik had closest to him a former IAS officer from Tamil Nadu, the BJP thinks that is why they won. Obviously, I traveled with Mr. Pandian on the campaign trail. He seemed to have some traction amongst BJD workers, but the BJP really went all out and whipped up this issue. Does your poll reflect anything about how big an issue this was?
मैं वापस आपको कह रहा हूँ कि किसी के कहने से कुछ नहीं होता मेरे भाई. Change is inevitable. कभी तो होना है.
But it didn't happen last time.
Question is when. Now coming to your question, why BJP is likely to win? In last 5 years back, BJP won 8 seats and BJD won 12 seats. Lok Sabha seats I am talking about. And in assembly constituency, the difference of vote share of BJP itself, 7%. 7% is low in assembly and 7% high, 39 to 32 Lok Sabha and assembly constituency. So, assembly election. So, what I am trying to tell you is this. They have been trying very hard on the ground for last 5 years. You are getting it wrong. Alliance and all that. As far as the alliance stories goes, forget the Odisha is the 2 biggest state. RLD, BDGS in Kerala, BJP is in alliance. Do you know that? In Tamil Nadu, there are 9 parties, 9 small parties they are in alliance with. So they want to alliance with each and every party, even in Akali Dal also they try.
In fact, Pradeep and I had an interesting observation yesterday.
But he didn't answer my question.
What is the question?
You're saying that this whole aspect of VK Pandian being an outsider,
of
which
course,
was the central theme of the BJP's campaign.
No, that is a much later stage.
I don't think it decides voting preferences from what I can see. But the point is, we've all talked about in the last year about the India alliance. Guess what? There's actually an NDA alliance.
NDA alliance.
So the India alliance, which was formed with such fanfare in June last year.
India alliance is like it's like a startup company whose founders have left the party. Look
Rajat Sethi is welcome to have all the potshots, but he's not wrong.
Who's telling us the truth?
It was a startup, opened 1 year back, had high hopes. Look at the founders of that startup. Nitish Kumar left, Mamta Banerjee left, Farooq Abdullah, at a point in time he has left, then he was roped in again. RLD left. Aam Aadmi Party, you surveyed that, you asked Arvind Kejriwal that question. He said, "Ye rishta kya kehlata hai? Ye kuch nahi kehlata hai." You said that, is it a marriage? He said, no. Is it an engagement? No. At best, it is an illicit affair. These are the broad category of your alliance partners. What would that startup do when all the founders leave?
What explains BJP and JDU? What kind of affair is that then?
No. Again, I'm saying why he was the principal proponent of India. He founded that entire startup. What happened to his conviction?
No, but the larger issue is
these people cannot come onto the same plan at all.
The larger issue is this. In this 1 year, the BJP realized that the India alliance, if it stays together, is a challenge for us. We have to break it in whatever way possible. Within 2 weeks of the India alliance first meeting, Ajit Pawar leaves, Praful Patel leaves, and you will see over a period of time, he didn't mention NCP, but all these parties have taken positions in their own interest. On the other hand, the BJP, because it's a dominant party at the center, and I think we sometimes forget that. When you're a dominant party at the center, it's easy to attract people, bring people into your fold because you can offer them something. Ministerial appointments. Please think of a Chirag Paswan. Chirag Paswan was thrown out of his house. His luggage was thrown out 3 years ago. The BJP brings him back. Chirag has no option. He wants to be on the right.
Jayant Chaudhary as well.
I give him Chaudhary Charan Singh is made Bharat Ratna. I have reason to come and join the fold. Nitish Kumar wants to be on the right side of power so that meri kursi bachi rahe Bihar mein. So it is also about the ability, when the Congress was in its pomp, it could do that. Today the Congress cannot offer any benefits to these allies, and therefore each ally is doing his or her own thing.
So Rajdip, I'm glad you raised this point. So here comes this in politics, the role of Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. That is also at play. We must acknowledge it. Who's defending that? Who's defending
Absolutely
that?
Right. It is Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. Yes. I was told today about a story of a Shinde Sena MP who was literally told, तुझे हमारे साथ रहना है, ABCD आपको करना पड़ेगा, हम आपके लिए ABCD करेंगे. उसने कहा सर मैं रहूंगा. He was otherwise going to shift to the Uddhav Thackeray Sena. That's how it was done. This is the truth.
Dr. Jatin Mohanty joins us, General Secretary of the BJP in Odisha. I want to take our viewers through both the Assembly and the Lok Sabha data back to back. So you'll get a sense of how much the voting percentages and the seat shares vary. 21 seats in the state of Odisha. Let's take you through what the data reveals for the state in Odisha, both in the Lok Sabha and in the Assembly. So in the Lok Sabha, Pradeep Gupta and his team are predicting 18 to 20. That's a clean sweep for the BJP in Odisha. The BJD between 0 and 2. Gupta ji, which are these 0 and 2 seats? Which are the 2 seats the BJD is looking strong?
BJD, Aska and Kandhamal or Kendrapada.
Okay. Let's now take a look at the vote share data from both these polls. The moment, can we have that other graphic back on the screen, please? I just want to take you through, when you're able to see it all together at the same time, how the vote shares are varying. So 42% vote share in the assembly election in Odisha for the BJD and the BJP. That's a dead heat. The Congress at about 12% of the vote share. That's what he's predicting, 62 to 80, 62 to 80 in the assembly segments. So essentially, to what extent has the vote share varied? How much of a split voting, Pradeep, did we see this time round?
See, last time we witnessed 7% split voting among the assembly and this thing. This time it is going somewhere around that, but this time BJD is substantially losing its vote share in Lok Sabha election. That's why.
Is this time the advantage of split voting is much more towards BJP compared to it was towards yes.
You know, it's fascinating, but when I think of it, when that same voter is going into the polling booth, I mean, in Odisha, in rural Odisha, knows when he wants to vote for the Shank and when is he going to vote for the Lotus. I don't think it happens anywhere else in the world like Odisha has shown, certainly in 2019.
Delhi? Not on the same day.
Not on the same day. I'm now talking on the same day.
Same day, yes.
I mean, it's quite remarkable. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the world that you're going to vote in such stark measures that I want someone in Delhi and I want someone in Bhubaneswar.
Jatin Mohanty joins us, General Secretary of the BJP in Odisha. Many congratulations on the exit poll numbers. You'll have to wait to celebrate till the 4th. But what's your sense of all that you've seen in terms of what India Today, Access My India is saying, and your own estimate? What's your projection for the state assembly election? Do you think it's going to be tight, or do you think you'll find a way of forming a government in Odisha as well by yourself?
No, I am very confident that we'll find our way to the assembly this time, and we will, by ourselves, will form the government. And there is no doubt about it. The people are very clear in their mandate, and the kind of anti-incumbency this government has, and the kind of support and love these people, Odisha people, have for Narendra Modi and BJP will take us to the win, and we will form the government in the state. and will contribute substantially, in fact, substantially for the formation of national government and for Char Sapar.
Dr. Mohanty, if our numbers hold, let's assume that the midpoint is both, let's take the midpoint of both, 70 to you and 70 to Biju Janata Dal. Will you, and the Congress gets 5 to 8?
No,
is there any possibility if Naveen Patnaik gets even one more seat than you, that you will ally with him? Is that at all a possibility?
No, not at all. This talk of alliance is just a creation of BJD, spymongers, and they have been doing this for the last so many years that we are an ally, we are in hands in gloves. But all these theories, myths have been unraveled, and this time people know that BJP
so no
has
post-poll
fought,
alliance.
we have fought with
Let me get it very clear, Dr. Mohanty, no post-poll alliance with Naveen Patnaik. You will not help Naveen Patnaik become Chief Minister again.
I'm very confident that there is not going to be any post-poll alliance whatsoever with this government, either at the center, or at the.
If your party gets a chance, who's most likely to be Chief Minister? Because Dharmendra Pradhan would be seen as your party's face in Odisha, fought from Sambalpur on a Lok Sabha ticket. So who then gets to be Chief Minister if you have a chance?
So that will be decided by our leadership at Delhi, and we have been seeing that the political culture BJP has, selecting its own Chief Minister in different states, whether it is Rajasthan, whether it is in Madhya Pradesh, whether in Chhattisgarh, and always BJP has chosen the best one everywhere. So we will, when the time comes, we will choose our own leader or our Chief Minister in the state also.
Preeti, go ahead.
The same question about the Chief Minister that I was asking you, sir. The likes of Jay Panda also fancy their chances. They've come in. How are you going to accommodate all of that?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
And the likes of Jay Panda also fancy their chances to be accommodated, especially.
Mr. Bajaj Panda.
Jay Panda.
Bajaj Panda, yes.
Yes, he's making it through this time, and he will. I'm very sure that he will win. And as he is our national vice president, also he will contribute at the central level. And if the central leadership decides him to be here in the state, certainly he will be here and he will contribute for the development of the party and the government here. But we are sure that he will play a very good role and very important role, either at the center or at the state.
Okay, Dr. Mohanty, appreciate you joining us. You made it very clear. No post-poll alliance in Odisha, right?
Split vote in Lok Sabha, and this time in our poll, this is 9% less vote for BJP in Lok Sabha, and this thing 33% we are projecting for Lok Sabha election for BJD, and 42% we are projecting in assembly election for BJD.
Which is huge. Which is huge.
Last time it was 7%.
So that's my point. That same voter in rural, let's assume across Odisha, has very clearly chosen very differently for whom he wants in Delhi and whom he wants in Bhubaneswar. The only difference, of course, the BJP is also risen. So as a result, it's a tougher fight in the assembly, which was a one-sided fight. But I'm trying to think, Rahul Verma, that what is it that the voter wants? We are seeing this in Karnataka, obviously different date. Preeti mentioned Delhi. That you vote for someone for Siddaramaiah in Bengaluru last year, and you've come for Narendra Modi and voted for him at the center. You're doing it in Delhi. You did it with Arvind Kejriwal twice over. Is the voter very clear in his mind that I want different leaders or different parties to govern me in the state and the center? Ya dono haath mein laddu, usse bhi benefit lo, isse bhi benefit lo.
No, I think small part it may be welfare schemes, but it is also driven by leaders at both levels and then issues. There are voters who care about some national issues in a different way and local issues in a different way. They might think that Narendra Modi is more competent at the center, but the leader that I have of BJP in my state is not that competent. So leadership, performance of the parties, right? In Karnataka, one of the reasons why BJP couldn't come back is because the government wasn't rated that highly. There were lots of charges of alleged corruption and other things. So I think voters are making this decision in totality rather than just the laddu, which is basically
the graph actually captures that. If you see this on your screen right now, if you look at the BJP's voting percentage in the assembly elections, it's 42. If you compare that with the Lok Sabha elections, it's 51. So there is a gap between the voting percentage that the BJP got in the Lok Sabha and in the assembly context, whereas in the assembly it's 42 versus 42. There is a massive gap of 51 versus 33, which is what explains why Pradeep Gupta and his team think that it could be 18 to 20 seats in the Lok Sabha election, because everyone, when the conversation was happening in the build-up to the Lok Sabha, the BJP is maxed out in the West, it's maxed out in the North, kahan se aayenge? What they weren't anticipating was this kind of a massive jump in seat share in states like West Bengal and Odisha.
No, so Rahul, if you put up that map of 2019 where every constituency is mapped saffron for BJP, you will find it very hard that how is BJP dreaming for 400? Everything seems to be saturated and maxed out. But you miss out on this, spectacularly what Rahulji had identified was this Bay of Bengal belt where BJP's grey zone was there, and then they had plan of action. They kept crafting strategies where they had lost by a small margin. They had their top guns go in and canvas much before this.
They chose these. I know one of the guys who handled this. They chose 160 seats, 160. Yeah. It was earlier around 140. They increased it to 160, where they had finished second or even third.
Margin, yes.
Second price, and they made various categories. Category A, B, C, D. A was where you have a chance because it's a small margin last time. B, relatively bigger margin. C, but they even went to D, where you had actually lost by a big margin. So Kerala, for example, or Tamil Nadu. And then you sent, union ministers were told 3 constituencies per union minister. They were told you have to make 1 trip to that constituency per state. So Baramati, Sunday had Nirmala Sitharaman landing up there. Baramati, where of course eventually it went to the NCP, but before the NCP had broken, Nirmala Sitharaman was going
still not gone
with
to
the prospect.
NCP. It might go.
It might go, but no, I'm saying in the sense there was no NCP candidate. The original idea was BJP would take on NCP there.
Right.
So they went to these 160. Now imagine you did this 2 years ago. My point to the opposition is, did you at any stage even think about how are you going to revive yourself in the Hindi heartland where you've lost election after election now for over 2 decades?
And then, see, you had a lofty goal of 400 and 370 for BJP and 400 NDA. How do you break this goal for the person who's manning the booth? It's a very hard task. Like how, as a CEO, do you break down your goals for the man on the ground? What Prime Minister did was, he said that all I want is 370 extra votes every booth. So create a strategy to give me 370 votes. Don't worry about 370 seats. That's how he broke the big picture targets into small actionable things. They might not achieve it. They might not achieve, but at least the targets are there.
A situation where you have arguably the best or the greatest of all time in terms of a political formation for the ruthlessness and the energy that they bring, versus an opposition that seems quite hapless in trying to deal with them, Rajdeep. And that's really the problem. So you've got an Australia versus Zimbabwe match. Each time it's Australia versus Zimbabwe, you know who's likely to win.
With one caveat, I still think in certain parts of the country, the regional parties that are still rooted are able to, in state elections in particular, and I make the distinction, that's why even here, in state elections where they have their own networks on the ground, then whether it's a Biju Janata Dal, whether it's a TMC, whether it's a DMK, these parties have the ability. What happens though is when they collapse, like we've seen with the BRS, suddenly the BRS, such a dominant party of Telangana, evaporated.
But Rajdeep, isn't that happening this election? Because I think the biggest story of this election is regional parties collapsing, the AIDMK, the BRS, the BSP.
In a national election.
But okay,
I will really test them.
But it's a story.
Of course
because the last one, I'll tell you what, in 2019, you had the BJD comfortably coming home in assembly, forming their own government, and the BJP falling short. Now you're looking at a place where the BJP is completely at the same level at the BJD.
Priti, you're absolutely right.
The next time around, what's going to happen in West Bengal? You could have the BJP giving the TMC a fight of its life.
But I'll you see, with one caveat to all of this, and we are going to see this play out, I think, in the next 1 year or 18 months. Think about Bihar. Tejasvi Yadav has clearly lifted the fortunes of the opposition almost like a one-man show. But in a Lok Sabha election where it's Mr. Modi and the juggernaut and Mr. Modi is on the ticket, it's not easy for a Tejasvi Yadav to take on Prime Minister Modi in an election where you want to choose the Prime Minister. But the same Tejasvi Yadav may well be in the competition to become the next Chief Minister of Bihar when you have assembly elections. Same thing with Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi. Same thing in Maharashtra with an Uddhav Thackeray. Look, I think state leaders, the BJP's only challenge, real challenge at the moment comes from well-entrenched regional leaders. They are the real challenge. Once they break those...
But it's happening, Rajdeep. That's the story in this election.
One minute.
That's exactly what's happening.
It's not, as I said, I will test it when it's a state election. When they are pitted for who you want. But where it's happened, just see what's
BJD, it's happening.
No, ma'am, I'll give you an example of what you are saying, which is right. Think about BRS. BRS has evaporated. Moment BRS evaporates, BJP comes in, occupies the space. Who's on the other side? Congress. Even a ruling Congress, we are ready to take on.
Tamil Nadu, the AIDMK is evaporating, where the BJP is taking its place.
Yes
and no?
I will still wait for a state election in Tamil Nadu to see that the AIDMK has evaporated. I refuse to believe. That's why
I'm talking about on the basis of our numbers, Rajdeep.
On the basis of our numbers, in a national election, the BJP always punches above its weight in states.
Tell me something. In West Bengal, now that the election is going to come in, do you not reckon that the BJP is going to give a huge fight to Mamata Banerjee?
101%.
And possibly the same result of what we are seeing in Odisha?
101%. The only difference being that in a state election, these leaders have more than half a chance.
True.
Because then they play on local politics, they play on the loyalty. The Bengali sub-nationalism can work possibly in a state election, cannot work in a national election. That's the one distinction I would make.
So, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai is giving a recipe for, opposition. When you have a pepping hot plate of khichdi, don't put your hand in the middle, you use it from the side. Start winning state assembly elections, then you get it.
I'm not an opposition. If I was to give even half because opposition in any case will not listen to anybody because they already believe they have all the answers.
Last 5 years you are doing this, but they are not listening to you.
My point is very simple. India is a collection. India is you start winning. How did the BJP come to the top? BJP didn't come to the top overnight by, just conquering. Uttar Pradesh's election, for example, of 1990 when Kalyan Singh gets a majority. Then you creep up state by state growing. That's how you grow nationally. Now you've got to have your state leaderships in place. The Congress at the moment doesn't have it. The regional parties have it. So they at least have half a chance.